So our next guest was definitely here for Game 4. I don't know if he's been here since. I assume he was here because he's a big movie star. It's like, maybe Toronto, they film a lot of stuff. He's going to be in a movie this summer with Brett Hull called Minor Leaguer. It's a Hockey Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, Rock Richard winner. Many very good things in hockey. It's Teemu Selanne. What's up, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing there?
I'm doing well, man. So what were you doing in the city?
Actually, I was in Toronto for only one weekend. Had a chance to go watch the Maple Leafs and Boston with Ty Domi. And now I'm already in Florida. My daughter has a tennis camp here, so
yeah,
I move pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, I mentioned you're trying to become a movie star now. You're a tennis dad. You're friends with Ty Domi, hockey's biggest celebrity, right? Like Tom Brady's best friend. So yeah, how do you? He just invites you to the game. Like he's like, yo, you want to come see my son play hockey? Like how does that happen?
Yeah, I have a little business there too. So,
okay.
And obviously Ty lives now in New York, but obviously I think he wants to come watch every game. So that's fun, and what a great series that has been. And now we go to Game 7. So that's what every hockey player's dream, to play Game 7 in the playoffs. Yeah. So it's gonna be exciting.
Hey man, yeah, it's funny because you're it's almost like more pressure on your daughter. You're showing up at tennis, and you're just at your friend's playoff hockey game, his son's playoff hockey game. You're like, you better be good. Like no mistakes.
It's the hardest thing to watch,
Yeah.
But when you play yourself, you're never nervous. It's just like fun, and you know what to do. But when there's nothing to do, and you're so nervous about how things gonna go, but NHL playoffs, there's nothing better. So it has been fun to watch these games.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, though, because if you're at that game with Ty, like you're watching, you're right. That's the most nerve-wracking thing, right? Is you watching your kids perform and not being in control. And the Leafs were so bad in Game 4. Like you were at the worst game. Actually, maybe you're not allowed to come back for any more games. You stay out of the arena because they had their worst egg laying. But yeah, like what's it like sitting there with your friend when their kid is on the ice and the game is going that poorly and the arena's that dead and they're getting booed? Like, are you trying to gas them up? Or are you like, I'm just going to go get more beers? Like, what's your move?
I think more beers is going to be a big helper. But, especially in the playoffs, you play at home. You want to have a good start, and you have to get the crowd going. And that game was actually, it was so flat, and Leafs couldn't get anything going until the third period a little bit. But, it's for me, it was nerve-wracking, but for Ty, for sure. And I always remember when Max was like 10, and I'm in town, and I go watch the game with Ty, and even when he was only 10 years old, he's so intense. I said, relax, man. He's 10.
Yeah.
he looks so mad. Shut up, Teemu.
Were you another guy that imparted wisdom onto Max of shoot the puck? Because he has a famous story of like Matt Sundin when he's a kid telling him to shoot the puck more. And twice in this series, he had 2-on-1s. And both times he's got clean looks and he still passes. And like he notoriously did you ever tell Max as a kid, like, shoot it more?
Absolutely. Obviously he's so unselfish player and he's always looking for the pass first. But it's all about making right decision at the right time. And but there's a certain players that that they rather pass than shoot. And but you have to be more selfish here and there. And I have been texting Max in this series a little bit about just a little couple things, but it's fun to go through and see how the young generation doing this these days, and especially when the kid. I think it's a great and exciting thing.
So you mentioned that, hey, there's no pressure when you're playing. It's pressure when you're watching. But does that still apply to a Boston Bruins team that is on the verge of, if they lose this game, Teemu, they're the first team in Major League Baseball, NBA, and NHL history to blow 3-1 series leads in back-to-back seasons. And I wonder what you think these guys are feeling in that dressing room right now, how much pressure they're under, and what they're trying to do to dissipate it.
Yeah, I can only imagine how they feel right now. I remember last year against Panthers, they were up 3-1, and I think Marchand had an empty net in the maybe game 4 or 5. maybe 5 to win the series, and then you go and you lose Game 7. So for sure, it's behind your mind that, oh my God, if it's going to happen again. And I always think that when you go to Game 7, I think for me it was easier to play on the road. So there's no distraction, there's no so many moving parts about to just go there and you want to play perfect the road game and go from there. But like I said, every little kid's dream is to play Game 7, and you just have to go one shift at a time and just focus little things and not take any extra pressure. But for sure, the pressure is in Boston side. But like I said, what a great series, and it has been fun to watch. The first round in the playoffs, it's so much fun because everybody's so excited and they are still healthy and so much energy, and every little punch, every body check, every slash matters, So that's why it's the best game in the earth, and especially the first round. There's nothing better.
So, I can understand what you're saying about the being home and the distractions of stuff, and you're going home and your girlfriend or your wife is there and she's just like, you're going to go get him. And you're like, no, please don't talk to me about this. Your friends are sending you moment like, hey, we just want to know, support you. Like, we got your back. Like, everything around you, any reminder of the situation you're in has to be basically hell, right? Like, you're just like, no, I just want to get to the game. I just want to play. And then once you're playing, I would imagine that it's a lot easier to lock in because you're on the ice and it's something familiar and you're going, okay, shift by shift by shift. But is there a moment in the game that you're going to watch for? Like you said, start strong. What do you think it's going to be like if the Leafs continue to pressure Boston like the way they have the last couple of games where, they've outshot them, I think, a combined 22-3 or 4 in the last 2 periods of these games? Like, is there something that you would look for that would give you confidence that they're not feeling it? Or I guess the opposite of that is that you would feel like, oh, man, no, Leafs really might have them in this game, that the pressure got to them?
Yeah, well, first of all, we all know how quickly the momentum changes, and when you play best of 7 series, there's a reason why we play so many games, and so the momentum is for sure in the Maple Leafs side, and they just have to keep pushing and have a good start in the Game 7. That's super important, and that Boston didn't get the crowd going, and because then the whole team start feeling a little more flat and more pressured. And maybe frustrated, and that's the time to attack, And also, I always said how the special team is going to be a big factor, Like even last game when you have a two power plays right away, 4 minutes power play, you have to take advantage of that, and one extra goal in the power play, it's huge, So, but I think, like I said, the first period is winning the first. Scoring the first goal is important. And but you know what? You have to play 60 minutes, and like I said, one shift at a time, one check at a time, and you can't look so far. It's just a little things. It's going to make the big things happen.
Yeah. So you mentioned the power play. The Leafs are 1 of 20 in this series. 1 of 20.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Like it was 5.7 or something percentage in second last in the playoffs, and normally you can't win if you don't special teams are not top. I don't know what top it should be, but at least that can be your weakness, So hopefully they can prove that a little bit, because that's going to be the key for the success. And like I said, I am expecting they're going to be low-scoring games. So even one extra goal in the PP, it's going to make it win the series.
That's how it felt in that, like yesterday's game, right? They get the double minor, and you go, this has to be it. You got 4 minutes right here. It's a tied hockey game, and they don't get it done, and they end up with like no threatening chances too. And you go like, holy crap! And that was the one time the arena felt like it got all of the oxygen sucked out of it, because people felt like, oh my God, now you might lose this game. And when you talk about those lulls and those moments and taking the crowd out of it in these big games, that felt like Boston's opportunity. And then they did have some rushes. But I guess this is sort of a two-parter for you about the power play is, you're at these games and you're watching them. Is there anything that you see right now that you think should be different for Toronto? And then secondarily, like what is it like psychologically when a power play is slumping to this degree? Like, what happens to you as a player?
Yeah, you know what? There's like a two-way affection. You know, like there's first that you're gonna get frustrated when you can't get anything going, and then you give the energy for the other team. They get the momentum because they just give the 4 minutes penalty, so they're gonna get a little bit benefits for that. So that's why it's important. You don't have to always score, but it has to look good and dangerous. First of all, the face-offs in their zone. That's so important to win the face-off, so you don't have to spend that 20, 30 seconds to get the puck back. And then you have to make the right decisions when it's time to shoot, when it's not. When you start forcing plays, it never works. It has to come automatically, and the passing, there's so sloppy passing. You have to get the puck moving. You have to make a little bit the Boston Bruins, the box moving when it's going to open up. If you look at the Oilers, I love how much they move and how quickly they move the puck, and that's so hard for defend, you know. So I like to see a little more quickness with the passes and making the right time to shoot, because then when you start forcing, like when it's not there, it just look bad.
Listen, text this to Max, because this is not coming. Their coaching staff has had enough chances. You know, like, you can insert yourself now. You can insert yourself in the discourse, because, yeah, this has got to have with their team. Because I don't know, like, yeah, to be a coaching staff and be looking at 1 of 20. Like, would you break up the unit though? Like, because they've got so many talented players, and yet it just feels like they need a more drastic shakeup. You're 1 of 20. At some point, like, the personnel got to change too. No.
I think I would not start panicking. I don't think necessarily you have to change, but I think you have to look. I would just look every power play, every this situation on the tape, and go and analyze what happened, why this didn't work, and then, like, obviously you can't practice very hard during the games in the playoffs. So, but just get the idea, everybody in the same page. You know, that's most important thing, and. Because they can do it. They have proved that they have a great power play, but they just have to find it, you know. And that's a good feeling when you start clicking, you know. But I always believe that talking and watching, you're gonna learn a lot, and they just have to stay positive, you know, and believe that they can do it, you know, because they have all the tools and all the great players there.
So we mentioned already, like, the pressure stuff with Boston, but that was pretty interesting. So yesterday in the post game, Jim Montgomery, he said, quote, "Pasta needs to step up." Do you think that's fair? Do you mind that as a player? Do you think that's helpful at this point heading into a Game 7?
Well, I think every coach has to know your players, who to push different ways. You know, That's why it's hard to coach, because there's 25 different personalities, and you have to be very smart and learn how to get best of out for everybody a different way. Some people you have to be a little hard and maybe call them out and maybe even like in the press to say something. Some people you can't yell at all. You have to be very sensitive with some guys, and that's why it's a magic how to handle different players. But the bottom line is that the best players have to be best players. Otherwise, you have no chance to win. You know, and that's why. They have a big role. That's why they make a lot of money. That's why they are who they are, because everybody's look up to them, and they have to be the best example. And then you can expect that everybody else, the guy next to you, do the same thing. But there's no passengers in playoffs. You need everybody, and it doesn't matter if you play 2 minutes or 30 minutes. Just give your best 2 minutes when you get there. And like I said earlier, just one step at a time, one shift at a time, one check at a time. So just like take a pride to do the right things, and like I said, if your best players are not best players, you have no chance.
So one thing that I think you don't get enough credit for in your career is how good you were later in your career, right? Like whenever we think of those players, it's always like Chelios, right? You're like, oh man, Chelios was great, and Chara was really great later in his career, and even now, like Ovechkin. And I do feel like you weirdly kind of get left off this list. Like, I bet you tell most hockey fans that when you won your cup, that it was when you were, what, 36? 35, 36?
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, like,
yeah, 36.
Yeah, it's like, that's always surprising people, because you were, like, super effective for a large portion of, like, what is for many guys the back ends of their careers. But, you know, when you talked about the physical toll, I did wonder about that part of it, is like, as you start to age as a player, like, I'm thinking about guys like Marchand in particular, or even guys like Tavares, who's entering like 33, 34. How much harder does it get as these series go on physically?
Oh, it's a huge thing, and that's the biggest challenge when you get older. How you recover to the game, because that's we all great when we feel good, but when you're tired, you're really injured, how good you can be that day. And age doesn't help, So you have to. Obviously, we have a lot of things that you can help right now. You ride the bike, you go to those cold tubs, and all the things what you can. But you have to be so disciplined with that, and that's why I was so proud that I was almost 44 when I retired, and it was not easy, but it's a big satisfaction that when you can do that, and it's still something that you love to do, and so. But, I always remember even when we won the Cup in 2007, like how physical and mentally it's a 2 months war. And like we were talking earlier, that how quickly the momentum changed. Like even one avoid check can turn things around, and you almost feel like clicks. Now they are weaker than last game. And you have to take advantage of that. So it's a grinding, it's a war, and it's a mentally toughness. What's the most important, this thing, and being disciplined and do the right things. It's but that's why it's a hardest thing to win. And that's why we love it.
Yeah. By the way, you scored 89 goals, including playoffs, after turning 40 in the NHL.
You know what? I always remember when Getzlaff and Perry, they were like 25, and I was 37, whatever. And they were wondering, like, why are you still playing? And I said, I love this game. Older I get, I start even love more and more.
Yeah.
And they said, we are not going to play, but we are going to be probably 30 when when we are done. And I said, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. And Perry is still playing. I get his retired a couple of years ago. So they also learned that, the older you get, you start appreciating things that you can do the things what you love to do and everything. So it's a unique sport, and it's fun,
Did your love, though, change a little bit, like after winning the Cup? How much did that reinvigorate you to have the second stretch that you had in your career?
I think the biggest change was for me the lockout year, the 2004. I went to get my knee fixed. It took about 6-7 months before I felt that it's going to be fun again, because there was like 3 years already that I was probably like 80% my speed and stuff. And especially the Colorado year, it was a tough year because I couldn't use my speed, and I didn't enjoy the hockey as much as I used to. And that's why I said, even there's a lockout or not, I have to go fix my knee, and I don't know if I'm ever going to play again, and I will not if it's not 100%. But when I realized that I will be the 100%, I was so excited, and I knew it's going to be a happy ending. And obviously 2007, when we won the Cup, I thought I was done. I took like 5-6 months off, and then the passion just brought me back, and I played another 7 years. So, but it's just like, and I always try to tell myself, this is my last year. I'm gonna leave everything out there. I'm gonna do everything what it takes to have fun, and this is my last year. And then obviously there's a lot of one more year things, but that's how I motivated myself that this is going to be the last year. I leave everything out there. And then, in the summertime, let's see how I feel again. If I'm going to get itchy to start training and do all those necessary things to come back. And I was happy that I felt that way for a long time. And I always try to tell these young guys, play as long as you love it, because, when you're done, and you will miss at some point.
Yeah. That's probably great advice. It's crazy, though, too. You were like the one guy who loved the lockout. Like everybody, hey, the lockout's out.
Actually, for sure,
Yeah, you're like, lockout rules. Like, we do this thing when we look at guys' stats, like even with, we'll be like, hey, if they didn't have this lockout year, did they play through 2 lockout years? And for you, it's like, man, without that lockout year, maybe we don't get Selanne in the second half. And yeah, no, that is interesting to look back on. The reason why I was asking, though, too, about the Cup is just, like when you started to feel that pressure in your career of like, man, I really want to win, because and I know all players want to win, right? Like you step on the ice and even right away in your career, you got a taste of it and you were great in the playoffs immediately. Your rookie season, obviously like famous. But when did it start to like really eat at you? Like when did it shift from, oh man, I'd love to win a cup to like, man, I need to win a cup?
Well, the thing is, like when I came into the league, I think the free agent was 35 or 33 or something. So I knew that, you know what, if you get drafted in a team that who has not chance to win for a long time, it's going to get frustrated. And obviously I had to wait 15 years to go to the finals. And and a year before we went to the conference final, and we tried to remind each other every day in the playoffs that, you know what, this is going to be the best team probably that you guys ever going to play. And there's no necessary second chances. Just do everything that you can do, that you're going to be your best. You know, stay in the hotel if you have a little kids home. Do those sacrifices what it needs to, because we need everybody. And we had a mission to win, but every day we want to remind each other that, you know what, this is the time. There's no tomorrow. There's no next year. And I remember that Getzlaff and Perry, that the first full year when we won, and they probably thought that we're gonna win 3-4, no problem. No, it's so difficult to win. You have to be right time, right place. You have to have the right players around, and then you still gotta be a little lucky here and there.
Yeah.
Even as good as team we had, you know, we got some good breaks here and there, but again, it's so hard to win, and you need everybody. Like I said, 2 minutes or 30 minutes, just give your best what you can have, but that's why the team sports are so hard, because this is not about yourself. You got to do your job as good as you can, but then you need everybody, and there's no, like I said, there's no passengers. It's just like a team effort, and the team wins, team lose, but everybody has to do their jobs. Yeah,
it's interesting hearing you talk about it too. Just like everything for you seems to be like, hey, simple, tidy, you know, purposeful, and you know, only what you can control in the moments that you can control them. And it's just like that's how we're seeing it play out, especially like in this series right now, right, where it's not big blowouts, it's not huge offensive firepower games. It's just like, yeah, this one. You know, like last game, it's one bounce off of McAvoy that goes in the net, and all of a sudden it's, you know, the rest is history, essentially. And so, yeah, I hope that this is the way that it ends up getting applied moving forward. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Minor Leaguer. Like, tell me about the movie, because I saw the trailer for it a little while back. I know it's coming out this summer. How did this come to be, you and Brett Hull being in this movie? What's it about? Like, give me a taste.
Yeah, this is a pretty funny story. This is like 3 years ago. Our friend Dan Montgomery contacted us and said that, you know, there's a great script that, you know, we like you and Brett Hull to play this role. And I said, I don't know about this, you know. I'm not actor, you know. And then I read the script and everything, and it's pretty cool, because obviously even we are playing ourselves, but totally opposite of who we really are. So even like my role is like that I'm. It's all about me. I'm the greatest, you know. I'm so big narcissist in that movie, and that's why, you know, it's almost embarrassing if somebody thinks that I'm even a little bit like this, you know. But that's why it was so special, because I could play something that I'm not. But it was fun, a fun experience, and I think Brett Hull, he did a great job too, and it's gonna be a funny movie. It's. I hope people are gonna like it.
Yeah, I love the idea of you sitting now at the premieres with people going like, so that was what Teemu Selanne was like, huh? Like that's how it's going to be. You know, some people are going to think that, and especially since you would have had to tap into like, listen, I don't think you're a selfish player. You're not going to. Like, I think you were playing a role, but you had to tap into parts of you when you were doing this of being like, man, maybe there would have been moments in your career where you would have liked to have said something along the lines that are in the movie, you know? Like you tapped into maybe a memory or a feeling or like a coach that you thought about, something along those lines. Like there had to be a kernel, like the inspiration had to come from somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I think we all want to feel good about what we have done and everything, but there's so many funny scenes. The one thing when I'm watching in the bed, I'm watching this my own Hall of Fame speech, and my wife comes there, and I have to lie to her that I'm watching porn, and she knew that I'm watching the Hall of Fame speech on my highlights. That's the funniest thing. And right before that, Brett Hull said, "You probably have a huge picture of yourself in your bedroom." Yeah. I said, "No, I don't." And the next thing, I have a huge picture of myself in the bedroom. It's so funny that. You know, but that's why it was so. It was fun to do it, and again, I have a lot of respect for the actors, because it's a long process, and you have to be super long like a patient because you tape 15 minutes and then you have an hour break, different angles, and you're like, God, how long is this going to take? We were shooting 1 week. It was my part, and it was you learn to be patient, that's for sure. And but it was a fun experience.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. That's cool that you challenge yourself to do something new, and that you'll have that. And it'll be a reminder for everybody watching now that, when you were preparing for this movie, you were watching highlights of yourself. If I was Teemu Selanne, I'd be watching highlights of myself too. Hey, man, I really appreciate you making time today. Good luck with the success of the movie, and appreciate you doing this.
Hey, anytime. Good luck there.
Hey, take care, man. Teemu Selanne, Hockey Hall of Fame, Stanley Cup champion, Rocket Richard winner. A guy that's going to be starring in the movie Minor Leaguer, coming out this summer.